Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in through our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Whereas 2022 is winding down, Conversations Live is celebrating today our 700th guest of the year. As you guys know, in 2023, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary of the show. But I'm so excited to welcome to the program for the very first time award-winning filmmaker, director, Sascha Just. She's not only someone who's been able to share her own love of music and storytelling with the world, but in her new project, we're able to get a look at someone you may think you know, and that is Ellis. Her new project is called Ellis, The Life and Times of Pianist Ellis. We're going to talk to Sascha not only about this film, but also what it's been like for her to see the early response. It just had its premiere in New York City. We'll talk to her about that. And, of course, let you all know how to stay connected with more information as well. Sascha, again, thank you so much for this time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Nice to meet you and speak to you.
Oh, same here. So let's just start where we are now. So you just had the premiere of Ellis in New York City. I mean, a beautiful place. I lived there briefly for a couple of years, and then I always visit every year. But what was it like for you to see the response to Ellis there?
Oh, it was a wonderful experience. The world premiere, was at the largest documentary festival in the U.S., the Doc NYC, and on Thursday night we had it was the premiere, and I was really lucky to have Ellis attend and be part of the Q&A, and he gave a very spirited and fun Q&A, so that was already a great experience. But the overall feeling of showing the film was just beautiful, and the audience responded so well, and it was a nice, sort of like a beautiful moment to reconnect with Ellis. You know, he died 2 years ago, so it was an overall sort of just a beautiful feeling, and almost 6 years in the making. I was really lived toward that day, and it was just great to show it in New York, my chosen hometown.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a couple components that for our audience here, Sascha, because I think one thing that comes across, of course, we know about the Marsalis family and their love of music, but your love of music and storytelling is something, too, that kind of led you to this work. So I want to ask you, when did your own love of music and the stories behind music, when did that begin for you?
When I was, it's funny, when I was very small. I was a child because my mother played Miles Davis for me, and at first I had absolutely no grasp of what was going on, and I felt a little overwhelmed by the complexity of the music, but there was also something really intoxicating about it. And first I stepped away, and then I went back to it, and then Miles Davis pulled me in, and from there I started listening to music that we call jazz, so to Charlie Parker and so on, and that sort of inspired me to go to eventually move to New York. I mean, I grew up in Berlin, Germany, and so moved to New York and be here where the music is, and from there, of course, to New Orleans.
And, of course, New Orleans is so much a big part of the Marsalis journey. So I want to talk about that because, of course, I saw in an interview that you did, Sascha, in talking about the film, about, of course, when it comes to New Orleans is going to have a life of its own, right? It's one of those things that music is such a big part of. What was it like for you to explore not only the music of the city, but also how music really breathes life into the city?
It was actually overwhelming. If you live in New York, there's so much good music, but if we go to New Orleans, it's just another level. And even musicians who are just playing in a tiny club at the corner play so well, and you really feel as if this the music is everywhere, and it takes place everywhere, but it also plays such an important role in all kinds of day-to-day activities, in special events. It's really everywhere. And the moment you arrive, for me at least, the moment you arrive in New Orleans, you feel a certain, I don't know, it sounds cliche, but it feels like the music is taking over. It's there.
Right.
And it certainly drew me to the city and draws me back there all the time. I can't get enough of the music and of the people, of course, who play the music. So, yeah.
I in that same interview that I was referencing, Sascha, you also talked about how you were introduced to Ellis Marsalis as well. And I think one thing that people will see even from the trailer of the film is how much choices were a part of his success. Like if he had gone to New York, right, instead of New Orleans, how his life would have been changed, and probably how the music scene would have been changed. What was that like for you to think about, how just him making the decision to go to that city, how it really did set things in motion that would change the musical scene?
And it was actually, it's really overwhelming to think about this. So he was in California, and I was thinking about, or basically driving towards, having in mind to go to New York, and then decided to go to New Orleans, back home to New Orleans, and he gets married, and then he had the family. And without that decision, Winton and Branford would not have come to be, and they would not have gone to New York and created so much music there and influenced so many people, and in turn, so not only changed the music scene then, but in turn also a lot of attention then was directed toward Ellis in New Orleans, and that again changed the attention that was paid nationally to New Orleans music. So this one move had an enormous impact on the music, but also on our culture altogether, right? Because music is such an important aspect not only of New Orleans but of U.S. American culture. So it was it's a big moment in American history when he decided to move back to New Orleans.
Exactly. The rest is definitely history. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. Again, we're celebrating our 700th guest today, and I'm so excited for it to be award-winning filmmaker Dr. Sascha Just. We're talking to her not only about her own love of storytelling, but also her newest film is called Ellis, The Life and Times of pianist Ellis Marsalis. We're going to talk to her more about this film and, of course, let you guys know where to stay for more information. So I want to talk about what it was like for you to find out the story behind the man, Sascha, because I think a lot of times we hear names, like we hear Winton, we hear Ellis, and we think we know them. But you got to really spend that time and not only get to know them, but those that they have impacted. What was that like for you to get that view of him that so few people have?
Well, that was, when I think about making the film and telling the story, I have to say that he shared his life story with me. The entire time I felt this is a huge gift and an honor that he shares that with me, that he trusts me with that. And getting to know him, first of all, before even telling the story, was already a really great experience because he was a wonderful man. Really, it's a wonderful man, a great artist, and a very thoughtful and, I can say wise person who has lived through a lot and had a great sense of humor, very subtle, very ironic, and just a very open and generous spirit. And he brought all of this to the music. And then to learn about his life and the obstacles that he had to overcome was amazing, actually, because now people until recently, when he had concerts, people would get up to applaud him, and he was hailed and adored and respected, and he received a lot of awards. But when he was young, he had experienced so many limitations, because we can't forget he grew up, spent many years of his life doing segregation, and then coped with the fallout from desegregation. These limitations, it was just humbling to hear all this close up and how he experienced that and how he dealt with it. But what was most impressive to me, and that was so important for me for the film, is to show how he kept on going, and he would never allow this to limit his vision of his own life. He would just keep on going and have his own standards and his own standards of excellence, and a very clear sense of what is good and right. And that was impressed me immensely. Yeah, and that's, I think, what made making the film about him such an honor to me, to be close to someone who really lived the idea of keeping on no matter what with your own standards.
And Sascha, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I think the other thing that comes out of this is, unlike some, you know, he was all about the music, not the fame. He wasn't thinking about fame. He was thinking about music. But do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. He really was very much about the music, and he had a sort of an ironic view of everything that goes with fame. He just had a realistic sense of that doesn't really have to do, that's not where the substance is. And he didn't get up in the morning to be famous. He got up in the morning to make music and be with his family and be with the people he loved. And he was also, of course, very dedicated to passing on the music. And you have to believe in the music if you want to be an educator of that, with that much passion, and who gives that much to his students. So fame for him. There's a line when he actually talks about that in the film. I can't quote it quite as well. You have to actually listen to it because he says it so nicely, how fame is so useless in a sense.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that more and more, right? I mean, that there are some people that are known just for being known. I mean, not so much for their contribution. So I want to talk about, you mentioned trust, and I love the fact that you also said gift, because I actually thought about this too, Sascha, when I was preparing for this segment. You have been given a tremendous gift in this. Have you been able to really sit with that, to think of, because of you and that trust, the gift now that you're able to give to the world through this film?
Oof. You say that very nicely. I haven't really thought of my film as a gift to the world, but I'm really happy that you're saying it that way. That's very kind of you. I think I'm still in this process where I'm so happy that I had the chance to make this film. I'm so happy I completed it, and it was well received, and I hope it makes a contribution to passing on and disseminating his legacy, because that's really the mission of the film, and it makes me very happy if I reach people with that. And and I hope people will keep on listening to Ellis, because so disseminating the legacy, if I should say that, what makes me so happy about that is the feeling that he's not really gone, that he gave us so much, and so that continues. And there's also a great responsibility that comes with this trust, right? So the happiness to be able to do this, that it's a gift for me, and that he's sharing this with me and through me with the world, but it's also a responsibility to share his story in the way that he wanted it to be shared. And so that's the complexity of the feelings I have on this question. Yeah.
Sure. No, I understand. I appreciate that. And it's interesting because, Sascha, we're living in such a remarkable time right now where, because of social media, because of opportunities like this, that we're able to connect with people virtually and to have these type of connections, I think there will be new audiences that will be discovering him for the first time. Is that also part of your hope, that because of the way that we now are able to digest information and get information, that people who may not even know about Ellis Marsalis will be able to know about him, learn about him, and appreciate his contribution?
That would be wonderful, and it is my hope. I mean, films are available for streaming. People talk about them online on social media, and that would actually be a positive way of using social media, where we know there is so much negativity going on. And since Ellis really stood for a positive outlook in life, and I certainly feel that way as well, and like to emulate that, I would be very happy, and I hope that social media will be a way of disseminating his legacy and the film. And I have to say that I'm usually not that active on social media, but I have been in the run towards the festival. And I have to say that people are responding very positively and talking about the film and about Ellis, the man, the artist. And that's the conversation is happening. So that's very nice.
Yeah, such a great thing and such a great point. Again, everyone, we've been speaking with, a remarkable guest who's been able to give the world now this great project. We've been talking with Dr. Sascha Just today. She is an award-winning filmmaker. Her newest project just made its premiere at Doc NYC. It's called Ellis, The Life and Times of Pianist Ellis Marsalis. So, Sascha, I have to ask you this question. I know you've been getting this question a lot, but it made its premiere. When can we expect as the audience to see it?
Well, there will be more. So first of all, this has just happened, right? So it's available for streaming in the U.S. until November 27th through Doc NYC. So you can go on the Doc NYC website and just buy a streaming ticket, which is also a good experience, and not as good as live, but it's a nice experience. And there will be more festivals coming up in the course, and some community screenings. I really make a point to take the film to educational institutions and to places where people might be interested in Ellis but don't have the opportunity to go to a festival within the next few months. And then we are working on distribution. So I can't say anything concrete about this yet, and I don't want to jinx it. A little superstitious, but that's going to happen. And but no matter what platform it will end up, the film will end up, there will be community screenings because the way I want to distribute the film or put the film into the world should also reflect Ellis's vision of passing on the music. So it's really important for me to reach people who usually don't go to film festivals, who may not be subscribed to one of the larger streaming platforms. That could be a small venue, could be a large venue somewhere, it could be a pop-up venue, something like that. We're developing that right now.
Well, Sascha, so glad to have the opportunity and the honor to speak with you. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so
Congratulations on all of the success. How can our audience stay connected with you, Sascha?
Oh, thank you for asking. I am now a very active person on Instagram. That's the easiest way to connect with me, and you can just Google me, Sascha Just, on Instagram. That's pretty much the handle, and that's the best way. And you can find me there, and then you can find me on my website, SaschaJust.com.
All right, and we'll make sure that we link that up for our audience joining us online. Again, congratulations to you, Sascha. I appreciate the time and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful meeting you, and thank you for the great conversation.
Hey, the pleasure is definitely all mine. We thank you, and we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Again, as we're celebrating our 700th guest of 2022, gearing up for our 20th anniversary of Conversations Live in 2023. We really want to say thank you to all of the audiences for joining us, both on the radio side as well as tuning in online. This show would be nothing without all of you, so we definitely appreciate you. We appreciate all of our great guests we've been able to have this year and over the years, and looking forward to much more to come. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's go make today amazing. Take care.